Hello and welcome back to our channel. We are so happy to have you here again, ready to explore another amazing mystery of our planet. Every single day, the world around us is changing in ways that most people never even notice. Some of these changes happen quietly, far away from our cities, in places we rarely think about. Today, we are going to travel to one of the coldest, most isolated places on Earth, a place that has been covered in ice and snow for millions of years. And yet, something strange is happening there right now, something that scientists never expected to see so soon. So, let's begin with a question. What color do you imagine when you think of Antarctica? White, right? Endless white ice, frozen mountains, and cold, empty landscapes. But what if I told you that parts of Antarctica are no longer white? What if I told you that in certain areas the ice is slowly turning green? Does that sound surprising to you? Well, it's absolutely true. And today we are going to find out exactly why this is happening and what it truly means for our planet. Let's take a moment to understand where this story begins. Antarctica is the coldest continent on Earth. It is covered by a massive sheet of ice, so thick that in some places it reaches several kilometers deep. For a very long time, scientists believed that almost nothing could survive there, except for a few resilient creatures like penguins, seals, and certain types of birds. However, in recent years, researchers have discovered something remarkable growing on the surface of the snow itself. Tiny living organisms called algae. Now you might be thinking, algae? Isn't that just something we see in ponds or oceans? Yes, exactly. But scientists have found that certain types of algae are perfectly capable of surviving in extremely cold environments, including the icy surface of Antarctica. These microscopic organisms contain a pigment, a natural coloring substance, that gives them a bright green appearance. When enough of these algae grow together, in large enough numbers, they can actually change the color of the snow itself, turning white landscapes into shades of green. But here's the truly important question. Why is this happening now more than ever before? The answer, unfortunately, is connected to a much bigger and more serious issue: climate change. As global temperatures continue to rise, Antarctica is experiencing warmer conditions than it used to. This might not sound like a huge deal at first, since we are still talking about an extremely cold place. However, even a small increase in temperature is enough to melt the surface layer of snow slightly, creating just enough liquid water for these algae to grow and spread. Think about that for a moment. A tiny rise in temperature, something we might not even notice on a normal day, is enough to trigger a massive biological transformation across an entire continent. Researchers using satellite images have observed that green algae blooms have been increasing significantly over the past several years, especially along the Antarctic Peninsula, one of the fastest warming regions on our planet. Now, some of you might be wondering, is this actually a bad thing? After all, plants and greenery are usually seen as something positive, something associated with life and health. Isn't more life a good sign? Well, this is where the situation becomes far more complicated than it first appears. Scientists have discovered that this green algae, although fascinating, actually absorbs sunlight more efficiently than plain white snow does. In other words, the darker green surface heats up faster than the reflective white surface around it. This creates what scientists call a feedback loop, a cycle in which one change leads to another, which then makes the original problem even worse. As the algae grows and darkens the snow, It absorbs more heat. As it absorbs more heat, the surrounding ice melts even faster. And as the ice melts faster, it creates the perfect conditions for even more algae to grow. It's a cycle that continues to accelerate itself, almost like a snowball rolling downhill. Except in this case, it's actually causing the snow to disappear. This discovery is incredibly significant because Antarctica plays a crucial role in regulating our planet's climate. Its enormous white surface reflects a huge amount of sunlight back into space, helping to keep global temperatures balanced. If large areas of that white surface gradually transform into darker green patches, the continent will absorb more heat than before, which could accelerate ice melting on a much larger scale. And why should this matter to those of us living far away from Antarctica, in completely different parts of the world? The answer lies in something we are all connected to: sea levels. Antarctica holds an enormous amount of the world's fresh water, frozen within its ice sheets. If this ice continues melting at a faster rate, sea levels around the entire planet could rise significantly, affecting coastal cities, islands, and communities that have existed for centuries. So what began as a curious, almost beautiful discovery, tiny green algae blooming across a frozen landscape, has revealed itself to be a powerful warning sign. It's a clear example of how even the smallest living organisms can be deeply connected to enormous global systems. Nature often communicates with us in subtle ways, and sometimes all we need to do is pay close attention. Let's take a moment to summarize everything we've learned today. Antarctica, once known purely for its endless white landscapes, is now experiencing the growth of green algae across parts of its icy surface. This phenomenon is caused by rising temperatures linked to climate change, which create just enough melted water for these organisms to survive and multiply. Because green algae absorbs more sunlight than white snow, its presence accelerates the melting process even further, creating a dangerous feedback loop. And since Antarctica plays such an essential role in regulating global temperatures and sea levels, this seemingly small change could have far-reaching consequences for our entire planet. Isn't it remarkable how something as small and simple as algae can reveal so much about the health of our entire planet? Nature always finds a way to show us what is happening, if we are willing to look closely enough. If you found this story as fascinating as we did, please consider subscribing to our channel so you never miss another journey into the incredible mysteries of our world. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next video.